Well, howdy, y'all. Thanks for being here. Today is Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. I'm Crowder, and that you may have ascertained is not Mark Agee. No, Mark is traveling today, and for the first time in the show's history, we have a guest host, but you already know him and love him. It's our chief Georgia correspondent, Corey Ryan Forrester. Corey, thanks for filling in, and how you doing, buddy?
What up, Trae Lane? I'm good, man. I noticed. So it's weekly Skews now.
Yeah, because we went down to
Rebrand.
once a week. Also, I'll tell you, and we've said this on the show, it's because some bitch scooped
Yeah.
in underneath me and took evening skews as like a domain name and stuff.
Word.
Yeah, well, you know how dumb I am.
Yes.
And I just didn't do that at the beginning and then missed out on it, so we had to change it to weekly skews. But
It's funny because somebody bought the buttercreamdream.com and then like messaged me and was like, "You can have it for $6,000," and I was like, "You can die alone." Is what you're gonna do because I don't give a shit. Like I'm never
Right,
gonna do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, never cared less about a thing
Don't give a
when it
fuck.
comes to that. Yeah, you can keep it. But with this, as always, producer Matt, he's still here behind the scenes doing his thing. This is, as Corey just pointed out, weekly Skews. Tonight, we talk about the recent voter suppression laws in Corey's home state of Georgia and what that might mean.
What?
For the you hadn't heard about that?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's some shit, buddy. And we're going to talk about what it might mean for the future of voting rights around the rest of the country and the implications for the idea of American authoritarianism and all types of real good stuff. That will include a conversation with our guest tonight, the U.S. Army veteran who is running opposed to Marjorie Taylor Greene in Corey's home district of the Georgia 14th, Marcus Flowers. So that's going to be fun. Corey, you already know Marcus. He hits, right? He's the man.
I've been knowing Marcus, as we say. Marcus actually hit me up like a while back before he even announced his run, and we've been communicating just because he was like, "Hey man, I like your videos. By the way, I'm from here." And he was like, "I don't think." He's like, he's like, "Also, I see a lot of people in your comments tell you that you need to run." And I was like, "Yeah, they do." And he goes, "Don't do that at all. That's not a good idea. You shouldn't do that." But Marcus is Marcus is the real deal, dude. Like he's one of these guys. Like Marcus is, a military man. And something I had to learn about Marcus really quick was like the difference between I'm used to hanging out with you, who I would describe as the exact opposite of a military man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Marcus, like I'll wake up like to pee or something at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll have had a text from Marcus that's like, "Hey man, holler at me when you get up. I got an idea or something I want to shoot by you." And I'll respond in the middle of the night like, "Okay, man, I will." And then like 2 seconds later, he's FaceTiming me like he's up at 5 in the morning, like I'm ready to do this. And I'm like, "Oh my god, what is happening?"
He's already had chow. He's already done PT. He's ready to go.
The whole thing. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is what it's like when someone is like for serious about it." You know what I mean? Like I'm just a dipshit that makes dumb videos, but this guy is like he's for real,
a real human man who does things. Yes,
and that's the thing is a man. He's a man.
Yeah, right.
I'm not used to that.
No, me neither. I'm not a man. I'm something else. You made him like, oh, I'm not a man. Anyway, but Marcus is great, and you guys will enjoy him too. He'll be joining us a little later. It's going to be a good show. But first, as always, we must begin with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, play the graphic, please. Now, I think most of us would agree that when it comes to mocking American dumbassery, the Capitol insurrection on January 6th is the gift that keeps on giving. That well is not yet empty. There's dumb and then them there hills still yet. And we've got a new one for you tonight. Matt, you can play the clip whenever you got it.
A Dallas man who was arrested in late January and charged with involvement in the riot that overtook the Capitol on January 6th was reportedly wearing a shirt that declared his participation in the siege. During his arrest, the AP reported that federal prosecutors wrote in a court filing Monday that Garrett Miller was clad in a shirt bearing the message "I was there," Washington, D.C., January 6, 2021, when he was arrested on January.
Literally wearing a shirt that said, "I was there, Washington, D.C., January 6th, 2021.
I feel like the Capitol riots were the Avengers Endgame of their dumbassery. Like it was all of the players coming out at once. And now we're in like phase 4 of the dumbass shit. But like they still have to keep calling back because like, my God, you can't ignore that Thanos arc that they had.
Right. So On a recorded call from jail after his arrest, he told his mama, he said, I don't feel that I've done anything wrong.
Of course.
And now I'm being locked up, right? But on Facebook on the day of, he posted a selfie of himself inside the Capitol. One of his buddies commented, "Bro, you got in?" And he replied, "Yeah, just wanted to incriminate myself a little bit."
Oh my God. Like it was the club. Isn't that the thing though? Like they never think, like when those type of dudes are doing that thing, like they never think what they're doing is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like he definitely
Right.
felt like this will be fine. I'm going to do this. Fuck Pelosi. You know, they'll get Rand Paul at least, like, will be on the hook for this. Like, they'll get me out. Like, they never think they're like, dude, that's the most like invincible. Like, that's the most proof of like white racist dudes just think they're invincible. Like, none of them expected us to still be talking about it right now in this way.
Well, also the fact that he used the word incriminate, I just wanted to incriminate myself a little bit.
Yeah.
It shows that like he did understand that it was like against the law, but he still thought it wasn't wrong. You know,
Right.
like what I'm doing is against the law, but it's not wrong.
Right.
Because, you know, I'm a racist white man or whatever, however that works.
Right. Which, like, you know, I'm kind of a hypocrite. Like I put a video out the other day. I was so drunk. By the way, I'm still going to do it. I'm still absolutely going to do it. But like, I was hammered drunk and I was in my kitchen. I was just like, I'm fucking going to wherever the longest lines are. I'm going, I'm passing out water. I'll put Crystal Light in it. I'll bring goddamn Twinkies. And for the record, I will. But that's also me being like, the point of the video was me going, I'm white. Nothing will happen. Like they'll take me to jail. And then that's the worst thing that can happen is they'll take me to jail and then I'll make bail immediately. Now, the only difference is, and I think you probably already know, is that is not an insurrection and I didn't storm the Capitol. Like it's a huge difference. Like there's no way that I'm not right in everything that I said. And you can put that on my tombstone.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, that's you in a nutshell right there. We're going to get into all that, all the voter stuff and the lines and the snacks and all that.
Am I doing this show right?
You're doing it great, buddy. You're doing a great job. But
I don't watch.
I know. Yeah, you only come on and hit and then go about your day. Yeah, I know.
I'm used to like the 6 minutes. Can you come on? You know?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, but first we got some honorable mentions for Daily Dumbasses tonight. And this first one up. So again, I think we would all agree that the Republican Party is kind of chock full of self-aggrandizing, disingenuous, lunatic caricatures, right?
Yep.
But even in a party made up by self-aggrandizing, disingenuous, lunatic caricatures, there is a noteworthy young up-and-comer. Let me tell you who it is real quick, and then you can see it for yourself. His name is Big Dan Rodimer. He's a former pro wrestler who first ran for office in Nevada in the last elections and got beat by the Democratic candidate by 3%. But he wasn't done. He has since reemerged in a new state running for office in a new election. And that might not sound that interesting until you see the clips that producer Matt has put together for you, made up of his differing campaign videos. Matt, play it when you got it.
I had one arrest in my life while in college. Those charges were dismissed.
3 dirtiest jobs in the world: professional wrestling, politician, and bull riding.
I have no convictions and no criminal record.
Now that's Texas tough, baby.
I'm Big Dan Rodimer, and I approve this message because I'm running on my record. I'm Dan Rodimer, and I approve this message.
Can I tell you?
Yeah, well, people need to know you're a big wrestling guy. This dude's a former wrestler.
And I don't know him, which means he ain't shit. Right. But I got to tell you, I've made a commitment this year, Trae. Actually, not this year. I made a commitment as soon as Joe Biden got elected. I said, all right, Corey, you're going to hold everyone to the exact same standard. You're going to treat everybody the same. If Joe Biden does some dumb shit, and I've gone on, I've been like, hey, dude, give me them goddamn stimulus checks. You know, I'm going to treat everybody the same, and I'm going to look at everything through the exact same lens. And I'm here to tell you right now, if that dude was running as a Democrat, just based on all that shit he said, because he didn't say any of the whole like we need to give kids guns.
Okay, no. Here's the thing. I want you to know this. He did.
No. I know.
Matt took a 2.5 minute campaign ad and he cut it down into that montage, which did hit. But in the full campaign ad, he literally says all those things.
Okay,
Corey.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
But all.
But the information I have is just what you showed me just now, and based on what you just showed me just now, I'm like, if you tell me he's a Democrat, I'm not saying I hope he gets elected. I'm not saying I want to vote for him in the primary, but I'm saying like, look, man, the guy made some smart moves. He come out and he was like, look, when I was in high school, I got drunk and rolled a tractor. I did my time. Now I'm running. I rode bulls and I professional wrestled. You know what I mean? Like, I get that type of, I'm that abrasive. You know what I mean? I get it. There's people that told me to run, and I'm way dumber than that dude. And Big Dan's a pretty sweet name. I'm just saying what I think is that you left a lot on the editing room floor that I need to see, because based on the evidence you've given me, I'm fucking voting for Big Dan. I'm all in.
Oh, shit. All
Root
right,
tooting, shooting, bull riding. But again, I trust you, and I know that he said all that other stuff, so no, I'm out.
But does any part of you care that, like, he's clearly, you know, not that dude at all, or you like respect that hustle too?
Do you mean that he's not? What do you mean he's not?
I mean, like in Nevada, you know, he's this family man who, you know, I am not a crook. And then when he gets to Texas, he's like, take 3 goddamn things about Texas right now, motherfuckers. Bulls, bullshit, and kicking ass. And then he
but like I do. Look, it sucks, and he shouldn't be in politics, but like, the professional wrestling fan in me right now is like, yeah, he's working a new gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't like that one. The first one didn't work out. And he's like, I'm going to Texas. I'm going to work this gimmick. Like, no, I'm doing a bit here. I don't respect it. That's obviously insane. But what I'm saying is like that part of it, I don't care about as much as like what he actually believes. Cause the thing is like, some people might say like, oh, well, he actually don't believe all that crazy gun stuff. He's only saying that so that he'll get elected, you know, in Texas or whatever. Well, I've always been of the belief that, like, if you pretend to believe in something, then you believe in it.
Especially like if you do it, like, all the time, every day, professionally, basically. Then there's no difference, really.
There's no difference. Like if that guy at the end of the day goes home and is like, I genuinely believe that guns are horrible and the Sandy Hook could have been prevented and blah, blah, blah. But I go out here, then it's this exact same thing. Like there was a lot of people that said about, I try not to mention his name, but the president that we had last, they were just like, oh no, he's not racist. He just will say anything to win. And I'm like, right. And if those things are racist and if those policies are racist, then it really like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, there's a blueprint for this guy because it's like Ted Cruz and there's also a Texas congressman named Chip Roy, who are both like Ivy League, you know, white privilege motherfucker.
Yeah, Bush.
Right. Yeah, George W. Bush. You're right. So like, there's the blueprint for doing this thing. And then if you go to Texas and you're running, like you said, you got to root, you got to toot, you got to shoot.
And that's the thing
you got to do, baby. You got to root, toot, and shoot.
And that's the thing that's always fucking pissed me off about how the whole world looks at me, dudes like me and you, right? Like they go Trae and Corey. Like hell, it's a dadgum. It's a cheat code to be like me and you because people go, oh, they sound like this, therefore they're an idiot. And then we say something that is just kind of decently smart, like not even that brilliant, but because their expectations were down here, they're like, oh my God, this guy's a Rhodes Scholar. So like, that's the general perception, except for that's not actually how most of America feels. And the reason that I say that is because George Bush was a Yale-educated, erudite son of a bitch, and he had to pretend to be a cowboy hat-wearing, cousin-fucking-talking son of a bitch to get elected. So realistically, none of that makes sense, and they all buck up against each other, and it bothers me. Like, I don't understand what you want me to be.
Right. Well, to add on to that, and I hope that I make this make sense the way it's making sense in my mind, it's like you said, them bucking up against each other and not really making sense. The irony of it too is like that to the like Texans in Texas, the Republicans, you know, the problem with Texas is all the the fancy people coming from elsewhere and moving to Texas, right? Like that's why it's becoming more liberal and whatnot. But then at the same time, you have carpetbaggers like this dude and Chip Roy or whatever who come and put like all the most racist and, you know, bigoted and Republican ass people from other places. They move en masse into Texas and Tennessee. Like Ben Shapiro lives in Nashville now or whatever, like that type of thing. It's like, you know, the influence of outsiders is what they're so worried about. But then,
like I watched the show Yellowstone, you know, and like, and all the, and Kevin Costner and his whole ilk, they're all pissed off because all these people not from Yellowstone are coming in. All these big city people are coming in. And that's true, but it's not like it's fucking David Lynch. You know what I mean? Like it's the it's the big city people who just talk different than them, but have the exact same ideology, which is let's drill right there and make that motherfucker right there work for $4.50. So like they have the same ideology. So like because you go on the other end of that, and it's like, then how did Trump happen? How did that whole like silver spoon New Yorker carpet bagging mentality permeate through the South and all the rural areas like it did? So like it's horse shit.
Right. It is horse shit. Actually, at one point, so one of the things we didn't show you in the montage we put together is that bull he rides right after they go to another cowboy that says, just so you know, that bull, we call her Nancy Pelosi. She's a real beast. And then the guy later is walking through there and he's like, I'll go up there and I'll put my boot right in Nancy Pelosi's bullshit. And then he steps in a pile of shit.
Oh my God.
In the thing, it like closes up on his boot. He steps in a pile of shit, horse shit. Matt says it was horse shit, not bullshit. Either way, whatever it was.
Wait, was Matt told that, or does Matt have a good eye?
I think Matt's got an eye for poop. Looks like he's a good eye. He says he's Dakotan. He knows the difference between horse and bullshit. That does make it even funnier. But then he steps in and he's like, "See there." And that's just one of the myriad
That's such
things.
the Republican way, is like literally stepping in horse shit to
I
prove
know.
a point.
By your own choice, choosing to step in horse shit on camera and be like, look there, stepping in horse shit to own the libs, baby.
I just can't decide, like, man, like when we're talking about stuff like this, I'm sitting here going like, am I seeing the beginning of something or the end of something? You know what I mean? Like I can't tell. Like I can't tell if like I always say a lot of times like, oh, this is the last grasp of their bullshit, but I know that that's like such a very like white optimism thing. Like I can say that, like I can go, oh look, I said, or is it like, are they pivoting to a new type of like, y'all just thought we were leaning in and we're really about to get everybody else? Like I can't tell.
Well, since you said that, keep that in mind because that's related to part of what we're about to get into, the bulk of the conversation tonight. That's it for our Daily Dumbasses.
Can I show you something since we're talking about but before we end Daily Dumbass?
Yeah.
I just want to show everybody this. Look at the cooler I have. It's a bag of frozen zucchini noodles with beer in them. And that's something.
If it works, it ain't stupid, baby. That's what people have been saying.
Go Dogs.
Time immemorial. That's right. Go Dogs. So yes, let's get into the our main topic tonight. Again, your home state. Well, first of all, like, have you gotten used to the state of Georgia being like the political epicenter of this country at this point, or are you still unnerved by that? Because I know when it first happened, when it first came out, people noticed what was going on with the Senate races and how close it was in the presidential race. I remember you being like, "Oh no, I don't."
Yeah.
I don't
and by the way, I was right. By the way,
Yeah.
I was right. Because what's going on right now is Georgia is the, like, all of our goddamn license plates should say the 2 steps back state. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's 100% what's going on. And, like, I'm happy with what all happened. Like, obviously, if the election had turned out different, what's going on right now would still be happening, but they would have even more power. I genuinely believe, to succinctly put this before we go further, that what they're doing is shooting themselves in the foot, because if they thought that marginalized people were mobilized last election, they are about to absolutely lose their mind, because basically they just challenged black people not to goddamn vote. And the last thing that you want to do is do that. But I will say this, I still am of the same mind of the person that's been on this show many times that told you, like, I still kind of can't give you an accurate temperature of what's going on because I still don't really leave my house.
Right.
You know, like I don't know.
So first of all, I agree with you as well. I think like you think like Stacey Abrams is just going to be like, oh well, we tried, like
No,
now
she
they
gets.
passed
She's
this, you know
governor
what I
now.
mean? Right? Like, yeah, I feel the same way about it. But so obviously we're talking about the law, widely covered, a law that imposes new voter ID requirements for absentee ballots. It allows state officials to take over local election boards. It limits the use of ballot drop boxes to like just election centers, which makes them kind of almost pointless. And most notably and most ridiculously, it makes it a crime now to approach voters in line to give them food and water. And this is what you were referring to earlier. You were like, I'll give everybody food and water. And also, I just think about it from your perspective of like, if you go to vote and your wife comes through and she can't even give you a baby Ruth, while you're waiting there, like,
what even is this country? What even is this goddamn country? If that's the case,
right. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, people have been very upset by it, and it seems like, based on what happened to Georgia State Representative Park Cannon, they've also already made it illegal to even question the substance of the law itself. Matt, can you play that clip if you have it?
Kemp signing the bill behind closed doors, surrounded by white men. While Democratic State Representative Park Cannon, a black woman, was arrested trying to get in.
I love that she's like, all she's doing is knocking on a door in a building where she works. All right.
Right. Yes.
In a building where she works. But several weeks ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene was able to put up new bathroom signs, ultimately defacing where
she's
she
in
works.
Remodeling and shit.
Yeah, and everybody was just like, "That's good. You go, white bitch, get it."
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, dude, I'm telling you, man. Like, here's my whole thought on this. I'm gonna explain it in the only terms that I know how to explain it, which is sports terms. All right, what they're doing right now, it's deplorable. It's absolutely awful. But the only reason that it makes me smile is because what it looks like is pass interference on 4th down with 5 seconds left in the Super Bowl. Whereas they're sitting there going, they're going, if we do nothing, like if the cornerback's sitting there and going, if I do nothing, they catch the ball and they win. I have to pass interfere and just hope to fucking God that they don't call it, or they call it. And then we bring it back and they're on the 1 yard line, because that's what it feels like. It just feels like they're going, man, we just saw what happened. There is no world, because they're not stupid. I've said that a million times, and I know you believe it. Like, the worst thing we can do is call Brian Kemp, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these people stupid. They're not stupid. You're the like evil, like you're the nemesises. Like, Lex Luthor wasn't dumb. You don't get to be the nemesis if you're dumb. That doesn't happen. They're not dumb. They're bad. They're awful people. And they're sitting there going, they're smart. They're going, oh my God, if they literally voted for Joe Biden, then how in God's name does Stacey Abrams not sweep? Like, how does that not happen? Well, all right, this is the last thing that we can do. Now, that's very much white, cis male optimism, but like, I just believe it. Like,
well,
a son of a bitch.
Also, I know, because I feel the exact same way. This isn't us saying like, "Oh, don't worry about it."
No, worry so hard. Worry the most.
Yeah, worry even more. Right, exactly. But I agree with you completely. It's them being like, we have to. The only way we can win is make it illegal for the other side, literally, to vote. Like, if we don't do something, we're done, and they know that. So this is their last recourse. Also, I wanted to circle back real quick. You were talking about Park Cannon. You were like, I love how she's literally just knocking on a door in the building she works in, and that's why she got arrested. Did you know that the trooper who made that arrest, whose name, I shit you not, Corey, is G.D. Langford.
Goddamn.
Goddamn Langford, Lieutenant goddamn Langford making the arrest, and he did you know what he said about it? His rationale he gave? He said he did that because he was concerned that her actions might lead to something similar to the Capitol insurrection that happened on January 6th. If he didn't squash that right there, it was going to be the next big treasonous riot. So that's why he had to arrest her.
If I let this black lady look at all these white people sign a piece of paper, who knows what could have happened next?
Slippery slope. It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, man. Look, you just can't have black people looking at white men writing stuff,
Right. So, like I was saying, I agree with you about the rationale behind what they're doing here and how it seems to be their only option. But again, it is worrisome because, I mean, if these measures work, then that's a problem, but also because, unsurprisingly, other states are just Xeroxing this shit already.
Florida.
Like Georgia's on the vanguard because, yes, Florida, there's a Florida bill now that has a lot of the same provisions. It would also ban giving water to people in line to vote, which another thing.
Y'all ain't supposed to drink the water in Florida anyways, so I get
yeah,
but like
Gator water.
It is bullshit, but like also tell me if I'm wrong, like this is a proposed bill. It has not passed yet, correct?
Yeah, it's a Florida bill that would.
Did you see the Onion today? What they said?
No, what?
The Onion put out an article that says Georgia amends the law and now will allow voters to be hydrated with a water hose. Dude, they're
Onion
batting 1,000. Batting 1,000, the Onion.
Yeah, but there's also this idea, like, we don't like to think about any other Americans this way, but it seems like there's this streak of authoritarianism in America. Because if you think about, like, when Mitt Romney lost in 2012, the narrative around the Republican Party was like, we're going to have to find a way to reach out to black people and Hispanic voters and things like that. That's like what they were saying at that time. But then Trump came through in 2016, and now it's flipped completely.
Right.
And Politico put out some findings from a study that said approximately 18% of Americans are highly disposed to authoritarianism. A further 23% or so are one step below them on the authoritarian scale. So roughly 40% of Americans tend to favor authority, obedience, and uniformity over freedom, independence, and diversity. And I don't know what you think, but I feel like what that boils down to is it's them saying like, this how I feel, and how I feel is what it ought to be. And the other people that don't feel the way I feel, they don't need to be able to vote or be free.
Right.
You know, like if the people that agree with me rule with an iron fist, right, that is the preference over allowing the people that don't agree with me to have a say because they're so wrong and dumb. And that's how these people think in their heads, I think.
No, of course it is. Like now that like the vaccines are rolling out and shit like that, and they're going like, we got look, man. If you listen, vaccines ain't nothing but a way to put a tracer in your body so that they can blah blah blah. The government has no good intention on da 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 da. They just want to be able to control. So they look at that and they post that as the narrative of like, no, the authoritarians, those are on the Democrat side. They want to have you completely dependent on the government at all times. That's what welfare is, and that's why they've set this whole system up. And that right there is why black people want to vote for them, because they've got the black people brainwashed into thinking that they have to have them in order to have some high functioning type. But then these same motherfuckers are like, Donald Trump should just be able to executive order any goddamn thing in the whole world. So like, only when it's for the greater good do they go, this is authoritarian. Like they love that shit. Like I've talked to these motherfuckers. I live here. They absolutely love being told what to do. Like I used to think that like kinky shit was like very, very liberal, but like from the most conservatives that I know, they seem very much like they're the ones like chewing down on an apple while their wife pegs them in the ass while they're watching some old home improvement shit. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's a wonderful segue.
Look, man, you had me on.
You're right. I know.
You
I
called
know.
me.
And
you're like,
Marcus,
what
again,
are you doing
and you
tonight?
and Marcus go back. He knew you were co-hosting tonight. He was excited about
I forgot
it.
Marcus is, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he's coming on right now, baby.
Oh,
Please
dude.
Introduce our guest
on
tonight,
me.
the Army veteran running for Congress against Marjorie Taylor Greene in the state of Georgia.
He loves free speech.
Yes, he does. Of course he does. Marcus Flowers, everybody, bring him out here if he's still there after. Hey, Marcus.
Everybody.
Marcus, I'm so sorry, dude.
Corey, it's quite all right. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Outstanding. Trae, it's good to be with you.
Yeah, good to see you again, man. I guess let's start by sort of just giving people a little overview of what you're trying to do down there in Georgia, what your goal is, and how you got to this point.
You know, my goal to bring honor and dignity and decency back to this district, we've got to get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Mm-hmm. And that is my ultimate goal. And I'm running for Congress because I believe she tried to incite a riot on January 6th. She helped incite that riot on January 6th. And she also helped further the big lie. So that's why I'm running. And I think we've got a great chance at unseating Marjorie Taylor Greene and bringing back stability and getting rid of the chaos that she's brought to our district.
Right. How much of that do you think is due to the conspiracy elements that everybody associates with Marjorie Taylor Greene? Like you said, she propagated the big lie and all that, but it doesn't just end there with her.
No,
She's
absolutely
put out
not.
a lot of highly conspiracy theory-ish type things. And, you know, how dangerous do you feel that is?
Oh, it's absolutely dangerous. You know, as a veteran, a former defense contractor, a former government official, you know, I've been all over the world. I spent a decade in combat zones in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I've seen our enemies up close and personal. And let me tell you, the radicalization that these guys in Iraq and Afghanistan went through, it's the same kind of thing that we're going through here in this country.
Oh, okay.
You know, listening to Fox News and OAN and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene propagating Q falsehoods. It's dangerous. And the same type of energy that took away some of my friends with IEDs and suicide vests in Iraq and Afghanistan, I think that's where we're headed with that dangerous. That's how dangerous it is to me.
Right.
And that's not hyperbole, by the way.
No,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's interesting, drawing the sort of parallel between the radicalization that you've seen yourself.
Let me interrupt for a second. I think we've all seen it now with January 6th.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. What do you think it is about all that rhetoric that appeals so strongly to so many of our fellow Americans? Do you think it's just like because it's the thing that allows them to be right about a thing? Or is it a thing of like, I'm the only, you know, that sort of thing in a conspiracy theorist's head where it's like, I'm the only one who understands the reality, the truth. Everybody else is a sheep. I'm the one who gets it. You know, like what do you think this has been so effective in grasping so many of these people?
Well, you know, I kind of get what a lot of these people are thinking. And, you know, you look back over the last 20, 30 years and stagnation in government, and people, I get what may have been fun or funny about people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, they're going to come in, even Trump, they're going to come in, they're going to get things done, they're going to shake things up. Okay, that's not how Washington, D.C. works. You know, you don't go there and change it. It changes you.
Mm-hmm.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she went there, and so did a lot of other people, in my opinion, to up their profile. You know, just saw an article today about Gaetz and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. They're going there to up their profile because they're looking down the line for some sort of payday.
Right.
Me personally, I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking to get famous. I'm not looking to get rich. You know, 27 years in my career, it's all been in service to this country, whether it was in the Army, whether it was a defense contractor as a logistics and compliance guy, or whether working for the Department of Defense directly as a compliance person. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm not looking to up my profile. I'm looking to go in, put my head down, and do the work of the people of Georgia.
Right.
Marcus,
and
if you're not trying to get rich or famous, could I suggest stand-up comedy?
I'm going to leave that avenue to you. You seem to be much more suited for that tonight.
Marcus, on that note, I'll say it for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. You are not taking any kind of corporate PAC funding, right? You've made a stand saying we're not interested in that, and you're turning it all down. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We need to get dark money out of politics, you know, and I have a hashtag that says you can't buy flowers, you know, so that explains it all. You can't buy flowers. We need to get all of these influences out of our politics.
Did you see
I think it was a disaster.
Did you see the story in the New Yorker about the recording from one of Mitch McConnell's top staffers and like the Koch brothers people talking about this exact thing? And in it, they admit, and again, this is a private recording, they admit that the actual public support for like House Resolution 1, which would curb dark money in politics, the actual public support is sky high, really, among your average American person. And so what can they do to, you know, keep that from happening, given that the people that they represent actually support it, even many conservatives. And they basically landing on what they called under the dome type strategies, which means like legislative maneuvers beneath Congress's roof, like the filibuster, and just anything else they can do to kill it without the support of the public, because they know if they get into any kind of PR campaign, they're not going to win, because really it's bipartisan to not want big money in politics, isn't it?
I mean, it should be bipartisan.
Right.
So, but coming from the Koch brothers, that's kind of rich, or from the one Koch brother. But I have not seen that article, so I can't really speak to it. But we've got to get dark money out of politics. And I'm going to lead by setting the example. We're not going to take a dime in corporate PAC money. We're going to raise money. We're going to do this grassroots thing that everyone talks about. And let me tell you something else. The response to our campaign has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I appreciate and am humbled by the people who've come out and said, you know, we want to support you. We like what you're doing. It's time to see regular people like me, someone who's not a millionaire, jumping into politics, just your regular everyday guy, government official, former government official. You know, after January 6th, the next day, I decided I had to get in. It became mission critical to me. So here's where we are.
You said mission critical. You talk a lot about being a veteran and everything, as you should. I'm wondering how you feel about, it seems like the right has like kind of claimed patriotism, you know,
so glad you're
like they are the ones who stand up for the troops, you know, that's what they do. They're the ones who care about the troops, and they are the official patriots. They're the official flag bearers, as they have sort of, you know, laid it out. And I'm just wondering, as a veteran yourself, and obviously a patriot yourself, how you feel about that.
Well, I felt like the word patriot had been hijacked by certain groups, shall we say. And I'm taking it back. You don't need a red hat to be a patriot.
Right.
You don't need to be the loudest person in the room to be a patriot. You just have to love your country and do what's best, or what you think is best for your country. That's all patriotism requires.
Yeah, I like I'll wear, like, you know, bald eagle shirts and stuff like that sometimes, with things like that, literally just because, as if I'm running into anybody in my day-to-day life who I get into this conversation with. You know, I don't, but in my head, I'm like, I do it because I'm like, they don't own this stuff.
They don't get it.
You know?
Absolutely.
They act like they own it, and they don't. And I think it's important that we all push back against that idea, because they don't own love of this country.
We're all patriots. I mean, it's, you know, it can't be mutually exclusive to one group of people.
Right.
If someone sees things differently than you, they're not evil. They just have different views.
So let's talk a little bit about the voter suppression laws we've been talking about. Again, there in your state of Georgia, and as somebody looking into, how do you feel? How are you feeling generally about all that? I don't know if you heard what me and Corey were saying earlier about it, trying to take not an optimistic. It's us telling ourselves that, like, this is how desperate they are. This is what they have to do because they can see the writing.
Two
on the
white
wall.
people's reaction to this whole thing.
Right, exactly. We've had the two white guys' reaction to it. So how are you feeling about all of that right now?
Well, you know, we've heard that this was all about maintaining the integrity of elections.
Right.
Okay. So if that's what it's about, why are we not providing water for people in lines? I mean, that's not even the worst thing in this bill. It's making it harder for people to do absentee ballots, making it harder for people to find where to go to cast their absentee ballots. And, you know, the worst part of it, in my opinion, is that you're going to appoint or have a political appointee suspend county election boards or county election supervisors and replace them with, you know, whoever they want, puppets per se, to come in and say, well, we don't like the results of this. We're going to overturn it here. You know, all the claims that were made about, you know, voter fraud, you know, i.e. the big lie, they were all claimed here in Georgia. We counted the election 3 times, once by hand, you know, so there was no signature match issues. Okay, there were 2 people that were dead that voted. Gabe Sterling said they're still investigating that. But no ballots were mysteriously dropped or run through machines twice. So, what I do is I apply Occam's razor. The simplest answer is probably, or the simplest solution is probably what's correct. This is about voter suppression, and it's about suppressing the vote of Black people in particular, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's also kind of, well, not funny is not the right word, but that they frame it all about being about us on the left, like trying to cheat and steal elections, and that's why they must do this. And what they're doing is cheating essentially, by cheating other people out of the ability to vote.
In the history of America, no legislation or legislature has ever been able to decide the results of an election. That belongs to the voters, until now here in Georgia. So we got to push back aggressively on that.
Well, okay. Actually, on that note, I was going to ask you, like, what can A, Georgians, but B, just the rest of us who aren't Georgians, but who are concerned about this type of thing, like, what can actually be done when we see this type of thing to sort of, push back and keep it from being effective?
There are some suits that are coming out right now, are already out. I mean, this is clearly a violation of the 15th Amendment. And I hear all of the talk about, boycott Georgia. That's not what's going to be good for us. And I'm also personally against anything that results in a, not a net plus jobs. I don't want to hurt jobs for anyone.
I agree with you.
So, but we do need our business leaders like Coca-Cola, UPS, Aflac, Home Depot. They need to stand with us and push back on these voter suppression laws. And we need to push back aggressively.
That bums me out on just like how pro Georgia everybody was, literally 2 or 3 months ago, where it was like, thank you, Georgia. Thank you for what you did. And now it's like, no, we're not, don't even fly over Georgia or we'll boycott that plane. Like at some point, I just don't understand how people don't. And look, man, I'll take the heat on this. I don't care. But when you say things like boycott Georgia, you're not hurting Brian Kemp.
Right.
Absolutely
I mean,
not.
you're hurting a lot of the people in Georgia who are on your side, who are just sitting here like, I'm just trying to go to work. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely not hurting the guys up on Martini Row.
Never
We're not
will.
affected by it whatsoever. It's the little guy, the guy like me, the government official, or the guy at UPS that's working in the packages department, or the guy at Home Depot working on the floor. That's who's hurt by that. And I don't want to see any of those people hurt.
I'm selfish too. We just got like Marvel Studios and stuff. like I've just now been in like my career where I'm like, I can just live near Atlanta and it'll be fine. They're like, we can't do anything in Georgia because blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but what we did in November, does that not, we're just done with that? All right, whatever.
The eyes of the political universe were on Georgia. Now they're back on Georgia for a completely different reason.
I called it.
Yeah,
fourth quarter. It's the fourth quarter. We stuck in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Well, kind of on that note, Marcus, how do you feel generally about the future when it comes to all this? Because there's always a pushback. A lot of people say that like Donald Trump, a big part of that was, it was a pushback because of Barack Obama or whatever. And then there's, the blue wave, which wasn't as much of a wave as we, wanted, but still was effective. And it's like a pendulum that swings. Exactly. And we're in this really, really turbulent period right now. Specifically, when you look out, out into the future at the horizon, especially as a Southerner and somebody from Georgia, how do you feel about the way?
Like you said, when the pendulum swings too far one way, there's usually a backlash. It comes back even further in the other direction. What we need to do as a country, and me as a moderate Democrat, we need to get back to the center. We need to get back to a place where we can talk to each other. We need to learn how to agree on the facts. If we start there, I think we're going to be fine.
Right. Well, that goes back to the conspiracy thing we were talking about, right? Like you said, agree on the facts. Like that's the thing. Like there's no such thing as facts anymore when there should be. Like some things are just true. They just are. If they are the things that happened,
right, they
are true, and those are facts, and we should all, their facts are bipartisan, or they should be. Like we should all agree that that is what happened. Those are the facts, and then we could start from there and go elsewhere, but that's not how it works anymore. Like facts are immaterial, right? And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a huge part of that exact problem.
And that's a part of our larger message. We need to get rid of all of these wild conspiracy theories, things that are just crazy, pushing back on these Q beliefs. And a lot of people don't even realize that's what they're believing in.
Right.
Because they have a politician who's telling them these things and making all kinds of wild accusations, saying crazy things like, those who don't agree with us deserve to be executed. We have to get away from that white hot rhetoric in our politics. We need to calm it down. Honor, decency, integrity. That's what I'm about, and that's what I plan to bring to Congress.
Right on. Well, more power to you, buddy. But I want to give you an opportunity. First of all, thanks for coming on the show. But also,
yeah, and I'm so sorry for your lead in. That's on me, Marcus. I know you're gonna. I know.
We'll talk about it later, Corey.
I was about to say, I know good and well you're gonna FaceTime me tomorrow and be like, "Are you serious right now with that?" You knew I was coming. That's the whole reason.
So
we will talk about it later.
Yeah,
but but Marcus, I wanted to give you an opportunity to really let people know how they could support you and learn more about your campaign and all that.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody, please go to marcusforgeorgia.com and donate to our grassroots campaign. We're building a movement down here in Georgia, and we're going to turn this thing around. I absolutely believe we've got the best shot at unseating Marjorie Taylor Greene. And if you're with me, please donate $5 or whatever you can to our campaign, and let's shock the world. Thank you.
Right on. Well,
thank you, Marcus.
You heard it, everybody. Marcus for Georgia. Check it out. Marcus Flowers, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on. Good to talk to you again.
Trae, Corey, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'm sorry.
Talk to you then, Corey.
All right. See you, Marcus.
Yes. Can I tell you something? I'm the biggest piece of shit.
I love how when I even started to refer to what had just happened, at first you still didn't know what I was talking
of course
about.
not.
I was like, well, that's a good segue. And you're like,
I was
what are we
in
talking
one.
about? Butts
I
and
was
stuff?
in
What's
I was in it. And you know me. And that's the thing that's what I love about you is that I know you and you didn't get mad. I know how your brain works. You're you were just like, he's in the pocket right now, and there's nothing that I can do. He's going to go. Yep. He just. Oh boy. I knew that was going to happen, but
yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, I did know you're in the pocket, but I didn't know how deep the pocket was until
very deep.
Yeah, right when I was just about to try to segue into Marcus, when you were like, they're the ones with the apple in their mouth, and I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, so producer Matt, if you can find some comments and questions, throw them up there for us. I wanted to make sure at least mention, because Marcus mentioned this broke pretty quick or pretty soon before we went on the air tonight, so I don't have all the facts yet. I just know that it happened. The New York Times reported that Matt Gaetz is facing a Justice Department inquiry over sex with an underage girl.
Good.
Also,
fuck him. That Lego-looking motherfucker.
Florida Republican, big Donald Trump guy, is being investigated by the Justice Department over whether he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old and paid her to travel with him, which would make it sex trafficking.
Where's he a senator or where's he a congressman?
Florida. He's a Florida guy.
17
man.
Is 17 no good?
Oh, I guess Matt's got a video for us. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, you can play it.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz reportedly is being investigated by the Justice Department for allegedly having a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old girl. Now, that was first reported by the New York Times. Gaetz has since confirmed the federal investigation to Axios, saying, quote, "The allegations against me are as searing as they are false." He goes on to say the allegations are rooted in an extortion effort against his family for $25 million. New York Times reported the allegations include that Gaetz paid for this girl to travel with him. Gaetz says the Justice Department is trying to criminalize his sexual conduct when he was, quote, a single guy, and that no one was underage. We'll continue to follow this developing story.
That motherfucker looks like somebody playing Tucker Carlson on a Lifetime movie.
Yes, he does. He's got a wild look to him. He looks like
his wave of his hair. I don't like
it's
none
like
of
that
it.
pompadour type thing or whatever.
I don't like none of it.
Yeah, I don't either. Also, weirdly, Corey, this kind of coincides with an earlier report that Matt Gaetz was eyeing an early retirement to take a job at Newsmax. Even Fox News here, Fox News has come out. So, sure, that's completely a coincidence. But
For the record, like I wasn't being an asshole earlier, but I'm serious. Like in Florida,
it's always them.
What is 17 in Florida? I'm serious.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not being an asshole. I'm just saying, like they all have different.
No, you're right. There are
Like
different
it might be a
ages of
thing where
consent,
like
and you would
he's
think
not.
Florida's would be one of the younger ones.
Yeah,
just
you would
'cause
think
it's
you would think Florida. They were just like, do you have a Butterfinger? You know, like, but like I'm saying, like it's the difference between was it illegal and was it just like optically bad. But like either way, fuck this guy. But like, yeah, him taking the early retirement, that don't surprise me because like he definitely seems like one of them opportunistic dudes. Like, which by the way, I think
like Marcus was talking about earlier,
Marjorie
like he was
Taylor Greene's
saying,
that way too.
Yes, exactly. Marcus was saying her and Lauren Boebert. It's like they're me and Mark have talked about this on the show before too. They're this like new breed that's like Congress isn't the end game for them.
Right.
It's like a step along the way to being a influencer.
Don't tell me that Marjorie Taylor Greene one day wasn't sitting there playing flip cup with her old goddamn sorority sisters and saw Tommy Loren and was like, my tits used to look like that. And then was like, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, I'm going to do that shit. And then she was like, I'll just move to where Corey Forster's from. They're all idiots. You know what I mean? Like, I totally get that. And by the way, I know I just said a very sexist thing, and I'm sorry. I've had some beers. I've reflected on it. I've apologized inward, and I'm apologizing outward right now.
Well, look, I don't know how this is about to go, what I'm about to say, but
Go
I'm still
ahead.
going to say it. I know I know you're on the same page with me. I'm of the opinion when it comes like, of course you shouldn't, call a woman a bitch or whatnot, especially just because she's a woman.
Specific
you shouldn't say dumb bitch. You shouldn't say dumb bitch about a woman. You shouldn't.
Never.
But Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, what else are we supposed to say?
Right.
Like, if you, some people, horrible people, deserve to have bad things said about them.
No, I agree.
Opinion. Nobody's out here calling, all women, nobody on this show right now is out here calling all women bitches or nothing like that. But if you're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can say pretty much whatever you want to say about her. As far as I'm concerned, she has earned it. And she's not the only one. Just, people that are horrifically bigoted and dangerous and whatnot. I don't give a shit what you say about them.
I guess it's only because, like, that's a gender-based one. Like, like with Donald Trump, you would just be like, he's a fucking motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't call him. I mean, I've called him a son of a bitch, but I've been like, that fucking cunt ass. Yes, I have. I've made a video that called him that. What we should do,
there's dick and stuff, but anything else. But like the thing
with
is,
her, we should make up some new ones and sell that book. Is what we should do.
That would hit. Just some guy in the mountain
she's a goddamn cod swallop. Is what she is.
Just some guy in the mountain says you call her a domestic terrorist. Anything less than that is a disservice.
There you go.
You're right. That's true.
But like that is like okay, that is the thing though. Like if you're sitting there and like you're fired up because Marjorie Taylor Greene just did some like very offensive like racist stuff, and you're just like, God damn it, that fucking cunt. Like, who has the energy to go, you really shouldn't call Marjorie Taylor Greene a cunt because blah, 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 blah. It's like, did you see the thing that she did? Like, we're on the same team. Do we have to spend that time? But I do hear you, like, because it is like a gender-based thing. More questions. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. It's a minefield for sure.
It's just me trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be live on air instead of at a therapist's office.
Yeah. I don't know what else Matt's got for us, if he's pulling something up right now or not. But another thing I wanted to say at multiple points throughout the show, but we, kept moving on and whatnot. And also, this isn't some hugely novel thought. Other people have pointed this out too. But that whole thing about it's illegal to hand out food and water in the voting line or whatever.
Yeah.
There's an extra layer of shittiness to that's kind of built in inherently, which is that like there's really no good reason that you should need to be in a voting line for
that
so long that you require refreshments. That only happens because minority communities and underprivileged communities, they've only got like one place in a huge radius where they can vote. So then they all end up standing in line for forever. But out in like the rich white ass suburbs, you just pull your SUV up to the voting spot, walk in, vote, and walk out. You don't have to stand in line for 4 hours. There's this inherent shitty element of it that
It
comes
also-
with the law.
It also goes against everything we believe as Southerners, which is Southern hospitality, which is like if most meemaws, even Trump supporting meemaws, heard that was a law in like New Jersey, they'd be like, they just need us to go up there and make them a pie and hand out pie in line. Like, that's bullshit.
Is weirdly relevant to what you just said.
Okay.
The comment
Okay.
that Matt threw up before you even started saying that, it's from Natalie Nichols. You know Natalie.
I know
Chose,
Natalie. What's
yeah,
up?
that's
My
right.
favorite meemaw, baby.
That's right. Before you even started saying that, she said, remember when you and Mark inspired me to give out burgers and voting lines? Y'all could have gotten me arrested.
I love her.
You
so
were in the
much.
middle of talking about how meemaws would be inclined to give food out to people.
But am I wrong? But am I
No.
wrong?
No, I'm saying
this
it's just wild how that lined up.
This Georgia law seems like something that Georgia people would be like, what is this? Fucking California and New York where nobody likes each other? Like where I'm from, we make Rice Krispie treats and we hand them out in line at voting because like we're all there as a community. Like that sounds stupid. Like that doesn't sound like what we're about, which has kind of been the trend in the past 4 years where I go, that guy's from Manhattan. Why do y'all like him? Like none of this we're going against our Southern hospitality.
Yeah. Julie Rose says, I dare them to arrest mamals. This kind of goes back to like the police brutality protest and the George Floyd protest and everything back in the summer when it got to the point eventually in Portland where cops were like tear gassing soccer moms and stuff and like shooting them with rubber bullets and whatnot. And it was like, yeah, you can't be doing that. Like you can't be doing none of that. But even people that otherwise agree with you, right?
Right.
You start fucking tear gassing mamals and stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose them too.
Also, dude, just logistically, like there's only two types of mammals. There's the type of mammal that's been smoking Marlboro Reds for like 38 years, and she's so skinny that when you try to put
Mama Cat.
When you try to put the handcuffs on her, it's gonna slide right off her fucking like bony arms. And then there's the mammal that's so goddamn fat that you can't get a handcuff to click on that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so like,
God rest her soul, but you just described both of them was actually my
Mama Cat.
My Mama Cat.
Well, there's exceptions that prove
she
the
was
rule.
big. She was big,
Right.
and she also smoked Marlboro Reds for years.
Right.
She passed away about 12 years ago.
How old was she?
Probably unrelated. It's probably about close to 70.
No shit. Hell yeah.
Not a bad
Go
run,
dog.
right?
That's
Aaron
all right.
McCullough
That's a good
says,
run.
my grandma used to sell her brownies and cookies and banana breads to the line to get into Bonnaroo. Good
Hell
chance
yeah.
I bought some of those, Aaron.
I guarantee you
I sat
did.
in that line many
I've seen them,
times.
if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, no, my mom's hit.
Of course. And if they start arresting that is when we are going to come together as a country, because it's kind of like the Dolly effect. You know what I mean? Like everyone likes Dolly. Dolly
Right.
is kind of like like you can't fuck with meemaws no matter who it is, or we're gonna come for you.
Right. Matt, I tell you, you got the Shining going on tonight.
Yeah.
You predicted Corey with his mammal stuff, and then I was just about to read this comment if you didn't, because I saw it over there. And we'll end with this. Tom Glenn says, are you booking shows in Georgia? Now, could just be a general question, but I assume it's also related to what we were talking about earlier with boycotting Georgia. Right now, we're not. We have some shows. Corey and I tour together, and we tour with Drew Morgan. We have for years. The Well-Read Comedy Tour. We've been on hiatus, obviously, since the pandemic. We have shows that were in place that have already been postponed to later in the year, right? So I don't know that we've even booked like quote new shows, because we've still just had all the shows we had that were existing that were moved out for a while. I can't remember if Georgia's one of them, but if what you're getting at is the boycotting conversation, like Corey alluded to, we're not. I'm sorry, we don't play that.
Also,
no
okay,
one's
so-
gonna care. Brian Kemp ain't gonna give a shit whether
we
we show up or
boycott in
not.
Colorado because Lauren Boebert's the goddamn congresswoman there. How far do
Right.
you want me to go into this shit? I
And Tom,
understand
I'm
what
not
you're
saying that. I'm not saying that
I'm not
you were
mad at you.
implying that. I'm just saying that we've had, because when we first got started, when I first broke through. It was the transgender bathroom laws in North Carolina, and people were asking us at the time, like, you going to boycott North Carolina? And I was always like,
hell no.
At our shows, the people that show up hate that law. They're on our side. Like, I'm not trying to. Not every. I don't like the boycotting of a whole state type.
Am I supposed to not do shows in D.C. for the last 4 years because Donald Trump's house was there? Get the fuck out of here! Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, at any time you can like find these things, but because of our tour specifically, what you just said, we attract the people that I like, and also I'm never going to make this about human being. Like, a state don't make shit.
Individuals, right?
Individuals don't make shit. There's people in Georgia that are great people. And you know how I know? Because they voted for Joe Biden and Ossoff and Warnock. And 2 months ago, you thought they were the savior of the goddamn world. So, yes, I'll do shows there. I'm sorry that this fucking sucks, but it sucks a lot of places too. And I'm going to make my living. I'm so sorry, Trae. I've ruined your show.
Yep. No, you spitting it. You right. No, you've done a fantastic job. So yes, we will be back on the road later this year. We're certainly, we will be in a few months. And we're very much looking forward to it. So you go to wellreadcomedy.com and see where those shows are going to be. And we're going to work our way around the whole country and come see all of y'all. We certainly hope so. Also, as a reminder, tell your friends, whatnot. Again, we're on weekly Skews now in terms of the podcast. You look up weekly Skews on all your podcast stuff, and that's where you'll find it. I'm no longer clogging up the Well-Read podcast feed with these episodes. So, yeah, all things weekly Skews will get you this show. Smart Mark will return next week, but Chief Georgia correspondent Corey Ryan Forrester, he'll be back around too. He always is.
Well, hey, first off, Trae, thank you for having me. And secondly, I just want to say that I love you very much. I miss you. And I'm so sorry to everyone who listens to this show and normally enjoys it.
No, but they love it. They love it. They love you. I love you. Thanks for doing it. We'll see y'all next time. See you. Bye.